Hey everybody, and welcome. As people are entering, feel free to type in the chat where you're tuning in from. My name is John. I'm also known as Shar from Shar's Craft Haven, and I'm really excited to be sharing a bit of my turning scrap into sellable projects. We also have a giveaway at the end, so stay tuned for that. We also have some live stream codes. So right now, you can, at the US site, you can use code John50, or at the Canada site, you can use the code John70. So those codes will be good during the entire show. And like I said, make sure that you stick around to the end. We're going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to have a giveaway on Facebook and a giveaway on YouTube. So there's going to be 6 total winners of $100 gift card. So let's check the chat, see who's in. Hey, good to see you, Joe. Hi, Dawn. Hello. Hello, everyone who's on here. And as more people come, welcome. Feel free to type in the chat where you all are looking. Hey, good to see some familiar faces from olden times as well. I see North Carolina. I know one of my friends is from Texas. So we got a good number of people coming in on their Friday evening or Friday night. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you all. All right, I was asked, again, for those that are just joining, there's going to be a giveaway at the end. There's going to be 6 winners. You guys know the drill. Stay to the end, and I'll have you type in something in the chat, and xTool is going to select winners, and then those winners will contact via the @xTool on Facebook. So I was asked to share a bit about my demo room, my makerspace demo room. So I'm gonna be gentle. It is a working space, so my kids have projects out, but I'm gonna show you guys a little bit around. Hello, another California person. I'm in San Fernando. I see Pennsylvania, Dallas, Oregon. So we've got a couple people from Pennsylvania. All right, so I'm going to give you just a brief overview of my makerspace, and then we're going to get into the projects. So let me switch up cameras. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so here we have the behemoth, the P3 we're going to be playing around with. And then as we look around, this is my main shelf for scrap. So it's right next to the machine. So if I'm going to prototype something and if I'm going to try something out, this is where I go first. As we look around, you can see I got my F1, my M1, got some chomp saws for cardboard. And then there's a whole bunch of storage that I've actually made with the P2 and the P3. So those are they were really easy to make, and they made tons of scrap. So this whole thing of scrap, which I'm still working my way through, was made from cutting out all these paint holders. All right, continuing around, we got lots of projects, some of my kids' projects, some doll furniture. We'll see a little bit more of that as we go on. And then I've got my Jackery battery, which I use when I'm doing on site and there might not be batteries, or not, or they might charge. They may charge for power. Over here is my amazing wall of finishers. So sometimes there's pre-treatment or finishers. I've got tape. I've got my demo mugs, so mugs that have had lots and lots of stuff done on them. And then over there, I also have an airbrush. Extraneous lighting that I thought I might need. And then I've got a couple more workbenches, a hot wire table, and then we'll see if the monitors are going to get in the way. Here is a bunch of my materials. So again, let me tell you what's going on here. So I don't know if you can hear me. I speak up. Um, so I've got a bunch of small wood in the IKEA, and then this is foam, and then I've got acrylic. And again, with all of my materials, I try and have a spot that's readily accessible where my scrap is. So all my acrylic from here, the scrap is here. The scrap for my foam is on top. Just making sure you guys could hear all that. I keep the scrap on top, so when I first go to do a project, I make sure that the scrap's the first thing I touch. And then I'm going to move this just a little bit around. And then we'll see I've got my awesome F2 and then my F2 UV, which we will see if we have enough time. We might do some customization on that. All right, let me resituate ourselves. Hey, Barbara, great to see you again. All right, Dallas. Hey, George, Utah. Hey, driver for the xTool. Yeah, that's awesome. I get to meet you when you guys were in LA. So you did a masterful job parking the trailer in the venue. We had an amazing maker day at. All right, let's get this, move it over. All right, so here we go. So first off, scrap. We all generate scrap. There's no shame. Some of us hoard scrap. Some of us can't bear to get rid of scrap. I have something that I make regularly, and these are they're lanterns, Advent lanterns. And so what I do every year is I take a bunch of orders for these and I end up making a ton of scrap. So the first thing with scrap that I would say, my philosophy with scrap is if you're going to make a bunch of it, make it so that it's usable later. So for example, with what you can see, the scrap that's in the laser, these are the pieces, the side panels for the Advent lantern that I make. I intentionally align them all so that I leave this chunk of scrap. I leave this chunk of scrap free. So by thinking of the scrap ahead of time, I make sure that there's space for things for later. It's also good to have scrap standards. I know that's a hard thing to have, but I don't save things that are smaller than a certain size. So ½ inch and inch, I don't save those. So what we're going to do with this scrap today is I'm going to show a design that I did, which was for it was a custom design for a little boy's birthday. So his auntie wanted her nephew to have his own wooden hauler truck. So things that are small, things that are compact, but have a great value. And some of that value is what it can do, and some of that value is like the memories behind it. These are great things to do with scrap. So we're gonna pull in. Yeah, I can't throw anything out. I feel that. I feel that. It's hard to throw things out when, even though wood grows on trees, it's still a little expensive. So here we go. I'm gonna pull in my flatbed. All right. And so some really neat things about the xTool software is if you are making a bunch of something, it'll actually nest to the material. Let's switch this over to cutting. I'm gonna, material is correct. Okay, so everything comes in groups. So I'm gonna ungroup, and then I can place these where they will fit. So again, using this scrap, I can just move things to where they're fit. If I want to get super picky, I can get super picky about where that is. Again, because of those great cameras, I can see, that's probably gonna be a place that's gonna be harder to cut. so I can intentionally avoid putting something right over that. Another neat feature of the P3 software is the P2 had close-up shot, which is sort of like this. You click on it, the camera moves over. There's a camera in the head. It takes a high quality picture. What's something that's really neat about the P3 software is you can actually drag across an area, and it's going to stitch together pictures all along that area and show us this edge in high detail. And it does it really quickly too, which is great. Not sure if that's a feature that you all have seen before. It's something I really enjoy if I'm trying to eke out the most. I want to get things right up against. I can then see that edge very clearly. All right, so this is going to be our first project. This little flatbed. So let's get this. Again, the details. Wanting to use as much of this scrap as efficiently as possible. Another great thing about the xTool software is you can click on the material, and there's a material library. So I'm going to be using the basswood plywood settings. So I click apply. It's going to bring in suggested settings. Again, if my wood's slightly different, or if I want to go a little faster, a little slower, excuse me, I can adjust that down. So I'm going to adjust the speed down just a little bit. There are, like I said, there's a couple of naughty spots in here. There's also a reference, so you can see where you're at with their demo material. And say I get the perfect setting for this scrap, I can actually even save that setting. So I can save it, I can name it, I can take a picture of it, and it's going to be a part of my material library. So that is something that I really appreciate. And then we're going to go to process. It's going to kindly remind me that, oh, let me go back. That preview showed me that I had neglected to put one of my pieces on the wood. So that preview is very helpful. All right, it's going to give me an estimate of the time it's going to take, which is not very long. And then you can't see it, but I'm going to press the start button. Another neat thing that's going to get a little loud, I have the AP2 Max, which is an industrial grade purifier. It's going to get a little loud. You never want to leave your laser. You'll be able to see the cameras, which is really neat. So I'm going to press start. And then you'll be able to see the camera as required. All right. All right, so here we have our pieces. I also love I call it the crumb tray, like the toaster. When you're doing lots of little things, you can just pull out this little tray, and we'll treat our little pieces. All right. So we've made scrap for another day. So here you can see the cutout pieces. They slot together. Again, I designed these. They slot together, and when you glue them, you have a little flatbed. All right. And it even has a little stand, so it can stand up. I know we got a trucker on the line. It's got, I'm sure there's a technical, but it's got the little piece for when the trailer is not hitched. And this one I actually designed so that there'd be a little space that would hold a magnet so that he could magnet it to the little semi truck, which is a little too big for the scrap that we have on hand, but it would magnet in. So let me grab these fast and then I will show you. I know this is making great TV. Here we go. All right. There we go. All right. So we got our flatbed, and then here's where the little magnet goes in, and then it gets covered. And then again, you could engrave custom license plate with the hauler that I did. The box truck part of it had his own hauling company. It was Henry's Hauling. So, all right. So this is number one. So the first idea for using up your scrap is to make toys. Small but mighty toys. For all of you that just joined, I want to remind you all that there is going to be a giveaway at the end. So let me excuse me. So during the live stream, there's $50 off. So use code John50. That does stack with the St. Patrick's Day sale, which is going to be ending within the next, I want to say 12 hours. So that's the current sale. This does stack with that. Again, John50 for US, John70 for Canada. And there's a little, the US code is down there. All right. Questions or thoughts about doing little toys before we move on to something else? I see lots of people saying hi to each other. It's great to see you all here. Need that one thing that does everything. Absolutely. Yeah. So what is great about okay, I see some questions. This is great. Okay, so when using the large lens, it automatically adjusts the settings compared to using the medium. So it does not automatically adjust settings. What I've found, and I just did some large acrylic with the pass-through, so that's why the L lens is still sitting in there. It does connect in the software. It does change the focus based on the lens, but it doesn't update the settings. What I will say is that I did a big test when I got all the lenses, and when you would be doing something that the L lens would excel at, you'd already be using settings that are sort of beyond the M level, if that makes sense. So like, for example, I've got some capybaras. I've got some 3/4 inch poplar that I did in one pass, and those settings were already something that the M would struggle with, would take a couple of passes. So I have custom settings that I've saved for that really thick material, and they're saved knowing that I'm going to put the L lens in. I'm going to have high power, 10 speed. And then the other thing I find really helpful for using the L lens is in the settings, which I can show you guys. you can actually, they changed the name of it, so that's why I'm going to look it up. You can actually, it's called focus descent. It used to be called something different. So the focus descent allows you to drop down where that focal point is. For a lot of materials, it's just under the top of it. But using the L lens, dropping it a millimeter, allows you to get through really thick stuff in one pass. So let me move my, it looks like I'm covering it up. There you go. So yeah, so 1 millimeter focus descent. There we go. Okay. Any other questions about the P3? All right, is that for machines or anything on the website? That is for anything on the website. I assume you're asking about the code. So even things that are on sale with the St. Patrick's Day, the code still works. Okay. All right. Any other questions about doing toys? We're going to move on to doll furniture next. If I don't see any questions, it looks like I'm not seeing any questions. Again, feel free to type your questions at any time. I'll do my best to answer them. All right, so we have already created scrap. So we just did something, and now we have scrap. So with the P3, let me adjust this back up. There we go. There's a green light, and the green light tells us that it is ready for auto mode. So we're gonna close it down, and then it's going to focus, move it into focus, and then on the screen, it's going to pop up with this green box. That green box is actually, it's seeing our material. So, for example, if we wanted to make a bunch, we'll just do the xTool X. So say we wanted to make a bunch of these charms. I can cut and paste this a bunch of times, copy, paste, 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 paste. And then over in the apps, there is smart nesting. So the smart nesting is based on the picture. And then I can change it. So I'm going to change it so there's only 1 millimeter in between. We don't need a bunch of space. And then I can do smart nesting. So this is going to look at what's left. And then it's going to move them around. All right, Ultra 2, is there a monthly fee for the software? Will it work any software? Okay, so so there is no fee for the xTool software. There's no monthly fee. There are extras you can do. So like there's a bunch of AI tools. For example, there's, you know, if you want to turn something into a depth map, or if you want to have it generate art for you, or generate a 3D model, like with the F2 UV, you can use credits for that. You get 3 free a month, and then after that, I think it's like, I don't want to say how much it is, but it's a nominal fee. But other than that, everything in the software doesn't cost anything, and they're updating it regularly with new features. So anyway, great question, Angie. And as we see, it saw where I had space, and it put these all in there. So this is great for turning your scrap into blanks. All right, so let's move on to a doll chair. All right, so this was something I have 2 little girls, 4 and 8, and they kept coming to me and they're like, Dad, we want this, we want that. You know, our dollhouse doesn't have this, our dollhouse needs that. And so I created a Adirondack style doll chair. Okay, so again, using our scrap. Again, we've got such great cameras. I can just stick things. Need 2 of these. There we go. Because the camera is so accurate, you can easily place things. All right. Again, this is great. You know, I know there's a little area like that where I can just place things around it. It's really easy to manipulate stuff in the software. I'm going to need 2 of those. So copy, paste. There we go. It's like making Swiss cheese out of Swiss cheese. And again, as long as they're the same thickness, you could have multiple boards in there as well. All right, and I'm just going to leave these off for time and my perfectionism. And then, yeah. All right, so again, it already has the settings, 90, 50. Yeah, and so we're gonna make some doll furniture. So go ahead and press process. It's gonna remind me not to leave it alone. I'm gonna press go. It's gonna get a little loud in here. And again, you never want to leave a laser alone while it's going. All right, here we go. All right. Same piece of scrap wood. Second project. All right, and how this goes together, let me switch cameras, is the back plate rests in, and then these top pieces, the handles actually squeeze together the layers. So the middle gets glued, the little seat pieces, but the rest of it is pressure fit. So this, again, I generated scrap while I was making it. So for example, the final version is in my daughter's dollhouse, but you can see that I even use scrap when prototyping the pieces. All right, is there a plan to enhance the AI software? Yeah, so I know that the Atom community, I don't know if you've been over to the Atom community. I know they're constantly taking feedback on AI features. I know that they're doing some beta testing for some more robust, not just like AI generation of like graphics, but AI generation of like more three-dimensional designs, so things that slot together. So I know they're definitely working on that. The AI software, I've found that the biggest determiner on the, you say clunky, the biggest determiner is the Wi-Fi. So if your Wi-Fi is having issues, that can also bog it down as well. Do you cut foam? Excuse me. Yeah, so EVA foam of all sorts of thicknesses I've cut with the P3. Um, I want to make sure that it's laser safe foam, so that's why I stick to what's commonly known as craft foam. The whole center section that I showed over there is craft foam. The thing with craft foam is you gotta go low power and really fast, because if you go slow, it sort of melts away and it gives you like a bigger kerf. And so if you go really fast, my starting point for thin foam is paper settings. There's a craft paper setting, which is fast, relatively low power. I think it's like 30 or 40 power. And you can do some intricate designs. I even did a rubber band. My son and I did a rubber band dragon using the foam wings. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Just a reminder, we do have a giveaway. So make sure you stick around for that. And there are codes you can use at any point. John 50 for the US store, John 70 for the Canada store. All right. A lot of people, I find when you say scrap, a lot of people think about doing jewelry. One thing that I found is jewelry for me can be like hit or miss. If I don't know like what the people around me are excited about, I can end up using a lot of scrap and not necessarily turning those into sales. Um, but with um, but with doing things that have like memorabilia, that's the wrong word. Doing things that have like emotional significance, that's a way to sort of customize. And so one of the things that I'm going to show is making a charm bracelet. So we're going to cut out a bunch of scrap acrylic to make charms. And then something you can do on site is you can put people's initials on them. Again, either with the F2, that would be the one that I would take on site. All right. Okay. So best advice to remove soot from woodcuts. So first off, I do my best to not make a lot of soot. I know the one that I just showed you has a bit of soot. Part of that is I have the L lens in and I haven't compensated for that. So going slow, using lower power can help you a lot with that. Because I've had previous machines, I have a little pen sander. So if there's something where I just need to like get it off really fast, other people will swear by masking tape. When I was doing things that like really would take a lot of time to clean up if there's any char, I got masking tape that was like 6 inches. So like the roll, I could in one swoop mask an entire thing and then just peel that off, depending on how intricate it was that I was weeding. So it didn't always save me time, but masking will do that. All right, P3 cut clear acrylic. How thick? Yes, the P3 can definitely cut clear acrylic. The thickest acrylic I've cut on this is 6 millimeters. I know of other people that have cut up to, I want to say like 22 millimeters thick. All right. It's awesome that you guys are giving each other advice as well. Okay. LA Awesome. Yeah, I've used LA Awesome to do a lot of cleaning on the machine. I've not used it on wood as of yet. All right. Hi. It's great you guys are all talking to each other. Okay. All right, so let's get some acrylic in. I'm just gonna put a bunch of scrap acrylic in. I took it from my scrap area in my acrylic section. All right, so I'm gonna lay these out. Return my scrap to the scrap section. I love how large the bed is as well. You can get a lot of scrap pieces to use at once. All right. There we go. Okay. All right, so again, we're going to wait for our green light. There we go. Excuse me. And then it is measuring, and you can see how it is outlining our materials. Okay, so let's want to throw some charm shapes in there. I feel like Lucky Charms come to mind, but over here we've got elements. So let's do. I don't know if we have any Canadian friends, but let's do a leaf. Let's make them a reasonable bracelet size. So let's try 15 millimeters. All right, so got a leaf. Any other shapes? Let's do a star. Let's make the star glittery. All right. Again, make this 15 millimeters. All right. And then let's do a heart. All right, I love gears. Let's do a gear as well. All right. So with this, it's got multiple layers. So I'm actually going to release a compound. And then I'm going to remove this middle layer. So there we go. And then we'll group that, and then we'll make it 15. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on wanting a different tube type. It's just one of those. It's one of those things where there's always costs and benefits. All right, so let's make the gear red, and then let's do like a lightning. There we go. Let's do a clear lightning. And then again, 15 millimeters. Okay. So those of you that are astutely watching, you will see that I did not change the material. So I'm going to do that now. So I am going to go to plastic and then acrylic. And then I'm just going to choose a 3 millimeter acrylic. All of these are 3 millimeters. And then the last thing, again, those that are astute observers, to make a charm bracelet, we're going to have to add a circle cut out. I think let's try 2 millimeters. All right, and then I'm going to add that to each of these. All right. Does anybody make jewelry? Is that something that you all do with your machines? I know a lot of people use the little F2 to do jewelry. That's something I've noticed. All right, copy paste. I love the infrared, the IR, for doing quick engraving. Okay, and then our moon, or lightning bolt. And again, just using, using the space bar to grab and move, and then just using control to zoom in and out. It's really, really helpful. Okay, all right. So now we've got our charms, our charming charms. We're going to have them all cut. Power 80/20, that's probably a little on the high side, but we're going to go with it. All right, and then we'll process. This should take not long at all, 38 seconds. Feel free to, yeah, the F2 MOPA for jewelry, absolutely, Joe. That is probably one of the best machines for metalwork. All right, here we go. While it's cutting, I'd love to hear what your favorite thing to make out of scrap is. So feel free to type in the comments what your go-to to make with scrap is. All right. All right, earrings. Detail piecing, home decor, absolutely. It's great to use scrap to be a part of something bigger. I do tutorials for the F2 Ultra? I have the F2 Ultra UV. If you go on xTool.com and then click on support and then academy, they're like training I don't want to say training videos. There's like tutorial videos for the different machines. You just click on your machine. Scrap. Welcome sign. Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned that. I have a welcome sign as well that I made. Oh gosh. I want to say I made this on like the D1. Using different wood types. It's a little hard to tell because I colored them in. But yeah, you can do welcome signs with scrap, absolutely. Yeah, thanks Bernardo for sharing that. Keep scrap when you need scrap. Okay. Hangers for wall art. Yeah. So not everything has to be just for like aesthetics. There's lots of practical. There's lots of practical applications where you can, one of my first memories from that, it was Laserbox. Now they call it the P1 because there's a P series. Is you could actually trace things out. And my son, who is then gosh, he was maybe 7, and he got one of those boxes where you like build stuff, and he immediately broke one of the pieces. I think it was like a grabber that you're supposed to like put, and he was like so distraught. And so we took the other piece that was good and we traced it out because the laser box had laser what you draw. So he traced it out, and then we lasered him a replacement piece for his little grabby toy. So there's all sorts of Once you see the tool as just unlocking possibilities, there's so many little things that you would buy a bunch of. You only need one of that you can just draw or quickly sketch up. All right. Yeah, bread ties, absolutely. Hangers, bread ties. Yeah, Joe still's got her baby D1. So good memories. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to show some projects off, some other things that I've done with the P2 and the P3. And then we're close to, but not yet to the drawing time. So stick around. Again, here's the codes for the live stream, John 50. These do stack with the St. Patrick's Day sale that's going up. I want to say it's like another 6 to 12 hours, so not very long. And then for our friends in Canada, it's John 70. All right. So let's do some show and tell. Let me pull chat back up. Okay, here we go. So I think the most recent thing that I'm super proud of is actually, so this, most of what I do, sorry, I forgot. The friend that invited me from xTool was like, talk about what you do, talk about what you do. And I totally forgot. But most of what I do, how I spend my time, and what I've designed my business around is one, I'm a demo room. So I know there's a few other demo hosts. And so when you go to the xTool squad page, you can find people near you to go and see the machines, see what they're capable of. So that's part of why my space is set up the way it is. I'm also a pro hub. So I teach classes, I teach people how to use the machines better. And so my space is set up for that. On my business side, so I do those things. On my business side, what I love to do the most is one, teach classes. So if you look up here, this is part of a cardboard tree. I did a STEAM class for a bunch of 3rd through 6th graders. And this is actually lasered cardboard. And then the insides are delaminated cardboard around toilet paper rolls. So again, totally recyclable. But the kids came in over a series of 4 classes, and they dreamt up what they wanted their ideal treehouse to look like. I think one of my favorites, don't tell my son, it's not his. One of them was like, do I have to do a big tree? I'm like, tell me what you're thinking. So they did a little like Ewok village kind of thing. So they had 3 small trees and did bridges in between them. So I love doing STEAM education. So I love the F1, I love the F2 mobility. So that's another part of my business. So again, you don't always just have to make things to be making money using your machines. And then the other big thing I love to do is custom creations. So this is Friedrich von Nom Nom. So Friedrich von Nom Nom, I had a friend, he was given the first one, which is, shoot, it's, I think it was Frida. So Frida, and she was purple. And so what this is this is a dice tower where the dice come out of the mouth, and it's also a place to store dice. So again, using Boxes Pi, Boxes PY, using an online tool to generate the pieces and then crunching them together. So it's a dice tower. And then the first one I made, my wife was like, you need to make a secret compartment. And so I bring this to shows, and like when kids are like, all right, come on, come on, mom, dad. Like I say, find the secret compartment. And so I designed into it, at my wife's suggestion, a secret compartment. And so to get to the secret compartment, you actually have to put your finger in the mouth, which is a little scary, and then pull up, and that'll open up the back. So you can see the back opens, and then there's a little there's a little drawer in there. And so the drawer is also in there because I found, as I designed this, that when the dice hit the teeth, they can go all over the place. So Friedrich von Nom Nom. And then another thing that I have made is I have made little kits for tree houses. So I send them unfinished, but they have these pieces, and then families can paint them. They can design them however they want, and then it just slots together. So again, sometimes the best thing to do is to make a kit, especially something fragile. Okay, let me look at chat. 5-watt. Will I go over 5-watt IR for the P3? So I do have the 5-watt IR. We only have about 8 minutes, so I'm not going to go over it. I will, though, show you this. So this was actually, let's see if I can get it to show well. So this was actually done with the 5-watt IR on the P3. It's a little hard to see with the lighting, but it's got an amazing depth. And again, that was done on the with the IR on the P3. So I will say it takes a little bit to get used to like installing it, because you've got to attach it. But I found, if you want to do large metal, larger than this, I've done some signs with it, and it's great to be able to do a large IR using the bed. All right. Okay. Code works for everything. Great. Any other questions that we have? All right. Let me show you. I will show you one more thing that I'm super proud of, and then we will be doing our lucky draw. So we're almost there. Thank you all for being so nice in the comments, for sharing, and for giving each other advice. It's amazing when the community comes together and helps each other out. So another story, a thing with a story, which I'm sure you have lots of. So I had a couple of years ago, I lived in Ohio, and I had some good friends that were fostering kids, and the kids, some of the kids they were fostering, which they've since adopted, had special needs, and it was around Christmas time, and they're like, I don't know if you can do this. I don't know if it's even possible, but our therapist has said our kids could really use a marble sensory wall. And so I don't know if many of you know what those are. A marble sensory wall is basically a large panel that has marbles suspended so they can move in it. And they're like, everywhere we look, it's like $1 a marble. Like we just, they're fostering multiple kids at that time. Like we just can't afford that. What can you do? And I'm like, I don't know that I can't do it. And so what I ended up designing, and then my son turned into a toy idea, was this little it's rubber band so I can take it apart. But this is a little, it's a slotted grid, and it holds the marbles in it, but it holds them so they can move. And so when I made this marble wall for them for far less than $1 a marble, my son, who was, I think he was like 8 at that point, took the prototype and said, Dad, this rolls. Like this would be an amazing toy. He was at the point where, you toys, you bend toys. And so he turned this into a whole toy series called Jerome. And so just a little idea like this can turn into all sorts of things. And again, this would be a great thing to make with scrap, because these little pieces are really, really small, and the biggest part is the panel. Okay. All right. Let us get to our drawing. Let me pull up the one last time. I'll pull this up. So again, John 50 for the US site, John 70 for the Canadian site, stacks. I think for our lucky draw, I would like you guys to put in, what material do you have the most scrap by volume? So type into chat. If you're on Facebook, type into the Facebook chat. If you're on YouTube, type into the just type in the one material, the name of the one material that you have the most of. So we're gonna let that go for probably a couple minutes. So please type in your answers. The one material you have the most scrap of, and this is going to be for our lucky draw. So this is going to be for some xTool gift cards. So I see wood, acrylic, birchwood, wood, lots of plywood. So the by volume, what is the 3mm MDF? Wood, basswood. Okay, we're gonna go another 1 minute. And then we're gonna choose, I believe we're gonna be choosing three from each platform. Oh, next is metal. I wish I had a bunch of metal scrap. That would be awesome. My guess is you're thinking of getting the metal fab. All right. So I see basswood. Yes. Enter your comments to win. All right. Basswood. We got another about 1 minute, and then we're gonna close down 6mm. All right, let me make sure that we have some. I'm not selecting the winners, just so you know. Do we have winners selected? I think xTool is probably gonna jump into the comments and select our winners. Acrylic, oh my gosh, yes. I have so much acrylic, and it's so hard to get rid of acrylic as well. Like the scraps just feel so incredibly valuable. All right, do we have winners, xTool? Can you post our winners in the chat if you could, please? All right, we do have winners selected. Let me see. All right. And then again, if you are, there we go. So Travel Diva, congratulations. Yes, contact at xTool on Facebook. And then Mendonaka. All right. Congratulations to all our winners. Thank you all for joining us for this live stream. And feel free to reach out if you have questions. I recommend for whatever machine you're most interested in, join the Facebook community. I know we have a couple of our amazing moderators who keep our Facebook groups a lovely place on the internet. So big shout out to Michelle and Joe for doing that. But yeah, join the communities, ask questions, get information about your favorite your favorite machine. If you're looking into buying one, get new tips and tricks. All right, so okay, so we have, all right, so Travel Diva, congratulations. Danielle, congratulations. And then, all right, so those were Facebook. Steve Vaughn, congratulations. So all right, let me repeat the winners again. Okay, so we have Travel Diva. We have Daniel Mendaka. I apologize, Mendoza. And then we have Steve Vaughn, Vaughan, as our three, it looks like, three winners that were announced on Facebook. Okay, thank you all. I greatly appreciate you joining us. There are more live streams coming up, so just a little bit of a plug. I think maybe one of the people joining us is going to be leading one of those. But check those out. Let xTool know what you think about this process. Let them know like what topics or things you're interested in learning more about. And hopefully I will see you all in person. Yes. Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I bid you all adieu. Until next time. All right. Thanks so much. Bye. Yes, Abby's next Tuesday. Come back and see Abby. Abby's Attic Creations. You guys are all awesome. Bye. Bye, everybody. I'm just waiting around for xTool to end the stream. Bye. Congratulations, Daniel.